everybody. Thanks for coming back. Today we're covering some cables, all the tips and tricks of how to make the best ones, save you guys a ton of time. I've been doing these for about 10 months straight, so let me share my mistakes with you guys and let's get to it. Come on. I'm going to start with the beginning. First, you want to always have a pulley up top. It's the most simple way to do it. You can mount it with how I'm doing it, which is a bolt through this metal. You just drill a hole through it. You can also wrap a chain or a rope around whatever you're going to attach your pulley to. Another option is, if you can see up here, you can always put a little eye bolt into a beam. So there's some ideas of how you mount your first pulley. And what you do with the cable is it just goes all the way straight down to this little doohickey right here. My method of attaching weight to this cable is just pipe from a hardware store. At the bottom, there's a little stopper, so you can put 1 or 2 inch plates. There's also a cap, which I drilled a hole through with an eye bolt and then carabiner attached to the cable. If you don't have the luxury of weights, you can also put a 5-gallon bucket from the carabiner down. Just fill it with rocks, sand, dirt, anything. Honestly, water. So you can basically make anything. It's very versatile. That's one really good thing about cables. Once you've got it all hooked up, you can basically do any exercise you can think of with a high pulley. You can do some flies if you want. You can do curls. I mean, honestly, you can do anything you can think of. Now, question is, what happens if you want to do a low point cable? Well, don't you worry. I got you there too. Check this out. Take off your handle. Add this little guy in Shazam. Got one down here. So I've got a cable down here with a pulley as well. So all you have to do is attach this cable going up to the other one. That way you get it coming from the ground. See that? Pretty simple. And it gives you a huge variety of exercises that you can do. Now I'll give you a little zoom in on it, give you guys an idea. Starting from the beginning, we got the weight cable going up. Here's our top mounted cable, and this is going down to the bottom cable pulley. That way you can get any of the low pulley work that you want to do, and it makes it fun. It's always fun to have variety. With this, how I mounted it is just put another hole through the metal frame, put a bolt through, and then I had to get a little creative. I put this little anchor attachment through this eye hook, and that's how I mounted that. If you're looking for pro tips, here's a pro tip for you. Behind, put a screw or some sort of attachment. When you're done with this cable, you can just put it right here, and it doesn't fall all the way to the ground. And then, when you need to use it, you just simply reach behind here and attach it. Holy cow, that's amazing! There you go. There's one for you. Okay, I'm going to share my secret technology of this right here. This is Area 51 level, so get out your pen and paper. This is some good stuff. So to break it down, got a little carabiner here. We've got this little cap for pipes, little eye bolt that goes right through, right here, whoop, 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 right there. See that? 2 little bolts. You just tighten them reverse to each other, so that way they don't go anywhere. And then you got your pipe, whatever size you want to do. I did, if I remember right, I think it's like 3/8, or I think it's 1/2. I lied, 1/2. Then you got this little stopper right here that just screws right in. So the only tool that you need for this is a drill to put a hole through the cap. And that's it. You can put whatever weight you want on this thing. Also is my adjustable dumbbell that I'll show you guys later. But this is super simple. I think it's maybe like 15, 20 bucks to make one. It's not much at all. These are the 3 pulleys that I've experimented with so far. You can find any of them at your local hardware store. This first one, it's a 2 inch, And the problem that I had with this one is it's very shallow in here when you're doing your cables, and if you're not paying attention, the cable can work its way out and get stuck in this groove, and it just added a crazy amount of resistance that you weren't ready for, and you had to stop and readjust it. That was my beef with this one. This is a 1-inch, and you can tell that it's got a much deeper, we'll call it a groove, and I never had any issues of the cable getting stuck out or coming out or anything like that. So this was a huge improvement, and it was also quieter than this one. The problem I ran into is with it being such a sharp bend that the cables would be at, it wore out the cables pretty quick. Next I moved to this one, which is the same idea as this, except it's a 2-inch, and I haven't had any issues. It's been very nice, very quiet. The cable doesn't work its way out. It's got a very deep groove in here. So that will save you guys a lot of time, a lot of headache. With this, it has 3 screws. All I did to make it work for my setup is I just made a bigger screw here with the drill, and I put a bolt through it. As you can tell, there's a nut on that side, nut on this side, so that way it's tightened down, and it works perfect. If you're curious to what this one, it's called a wall/ceiling mount pulley. And this is rated at 480 pounds, well more than I'll use. This one is at 420 pounds. I don't remember what this one was, but it was more than I ever needed to use anyways. They've all been great, but by far, this one is the best one so far. If I find any more, I'll update you and let you know. But my key is cheap with good results. Something else super nice about this type of pulley is you can take it apart and you can grease it and oil it. All you got to do, use some vice grips, tighten this down, pull this little pin right here, comes right out, and then you just push this in like that, and there we go. Had a runaway wheel, watch out. So I just grease the outside, grease this little pin, you just put it back together, and works really nice. Type of grease I use, just some lithium grease. I don't care what brand you use. Any sort of lithium grease has been really good for me. If you know something better, let me know. I'm always down. After you grease it, you just reverse the process. Just put that in there. This is under tension as well. And then you just slide this pin in. Wiggle, 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 just like that. And then you put the little pin through. And voila! We've got a working pulley again. Extra greasy. Okay, more top secret stuff. When you're using your cables, if you think about it, you're only using it for about the first half of the cable. Half of it's being used. After time, 2-3 months, depends on how much you use it, your cable is going to start getting dark. It'll start to get rough, unsmooth. Something to compare it to. This is brand new, and then here's the old. You can tell there's a little difference. It's not a whole lot. These are pretty newer cables that I used, but just to show you, after a lot of use, it starts to get darker, starts to get dirty, and I've not listened to it before, and it snaps right in half on you. Of course, that was really bad. It looked like it was on fire, like as if it was burnt black. So, if it ever gets to that, replace your cable. It's like 15-20 cents a foot. It's super cheap. And it ruins your workout. What a buzzkill, right? This trick will make your cables last twice as long. All you do, disconnect one end, come up here, pull this one down, get up here. Bring this one down here, oh my goodness. And, if I can do it with one hand, Shazam! It's like having a whole new cable. That way you can get 4 to 6 months of use if you're using it a lot. For me, I use it a lot. So that trick is awesome. You can also use it for your other cables. Same idea. You just flip it around, attach this one there, and whoop-de-doo. It's like magic. One of the best tips I can give you is make sure when you attach your top pulley that has the least amount of play as far as wiggle, back and forth, side to side. Rotating is fine. But if you've got a lot of play, side to side and all that, when you're actually working out, that can translate into the weights swinging as well. And that gets frustrating because then you have to set the weight down, realign it, and then go again. When you're finding the length of your cable, what I'll do is after you have the cable wrapped around this little metal part right here, instead of putting both of these little tighteners on, I'll just put one bolt or one nut on just one, just to basically hold it in place, and then I'll work on the top portion and figure it out. But I found that a good sweet spot is to have a couple inches after here, so that way if you need to make some fine-tune adjustments, there's nothing worse than having a short cable that isn't going to work for your setup. And then once you find the length that you like, then put in all the nuts and bolts and you're good to go. And that'll save you a little bit of time as well. When you're trying to cut your cable, these tin snips, they work pretty decently. Take a minute to work it, but it can cut through it. If you're lucky enough, this Dremel is so nice. It gets through the cable pretty quick, so that definitely saves some time. But you can, if you have everything measured out, you can have the people at the store you buy it from, they can cut it for you too. Adding weight to this type of setup doesn't take any time at all. You just unscrew this, grab a different plate, slide it on, put this back on, and you're good to go. You don't even have to tighten it super tight. I'll go till it's snug and turn just a little bit more, and you're good to go. Pretty quick setup on changing the weights. Pro tip to save your noggin from getting bunked: if you have any sort of attachment on that, use both hands. Once you loosen it, have one hand to hang on to this so it doesn't fall on you, and the other hand to put the weight on. You're welcome. Oh yeah! Fill in those cable gains. And that, boys and girls, will conclude our class on cables. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments right below. Also, don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, whatever you want. So, come back for more. Got a lot more coming for you. Thanks again. Take care.